Sup, you sex bitches? My name is Sterling and welcome to the channel. This would like to read some of the best and most upvoted stories on Reddit. And today's stories come from r/EntitledPeople. This is where a Karen ruins her life by taking pepper spray and spraying two paramedics while they are trying to give CPR and other medical attention to a dude having a heart attack on the sidewalk. And then how a captain of an airplane strategically removes a Karen because she is demanding a first-class seat. She's upgraded herself. They're incredible stories. Let's go. Our first story comes from Jeep Hammer. How to ruin your life. So, about 10 months ago, a guy goes down outside a strip mall store, has a medical bracelet on about a heart condition. Paramedics get called, which arrive quickly. Thank first responders. They show up in a 4-door pickup with bed shell, all fire engine red, flashing lights and sirens, fire department and paramedics all over the truck. They jump out and start hooking this guy up to a blood pressure cuff, sticking the heart monitor pads on him, etc. Karen rolls up behind the paramedics truck and starts screaming the truck cut her off at the intersection with lights and sirens. Then she demands the paramedics look at her as she melts down while he's starting CPR on the victim. The paramedic is ignoring her entirely, but has to get something from the truck. She blocks his way and gets moved aside. As he goes to the truck, this is where Karen pulls out pepper spray, hoses the standing paramedic directly in the face, but she's not done. She sprays the second paramedic on the ground, and just for the trifecta, hoses down the heart attack victim, screaming he is too young to have a heart attack. I took this as my cue to remove the pepper spray and hold her, with others, until the police arrived. Still others are trying to help with CPR, while some try to wash out the eyes of the paramedics. Police arrive. Karen goes immediately into handcuffs and then attempts to kick-bite police, which results in getting hog-tied and her shirt pulled over her face, at which time she starts screaming, "Rape!" And the kicker, when the police arrest her, she starts with, "Do you know who I am?" Results are 2 counts of aggressive assault with weapon on paramedics, 2 counts of assault on police, 1 count of aggressive assault with weapon on the heart attack victim, which survived, resisting arrest with violence. She's also being sued by the heart attack victim for $10 million, which she apparently has. Her criminal trial is coming up. I bought a new suit for it and my old ass will be there with bells on. Since the entire event was caught on video from 2 cameras and who knows how many cell phones, it will be interesting to see what her high-powered legal team is going to cook up. But ultimately, I hope she will be convicted. Facing a possible 65 years, but practically will only get about 10 maximum, if any prison time. As a side note, her husband is a bank vice president and refuses to make her bail. Took her 13 days to get her family to bail her out. I'll try to update when the trial happens. The only update I have is from a firefighter/EMT. She apparently made a large donation to the fire department, did rehab, and got off after successfully completing rehab. Some kind of trial diversion program. The poster that said she would blame it on a drug/alcohol cocktail was seemingly correct. Is that common? I've never heard of that before. But then again, I don't know many people who do crap like this. I don't know anyone who would do crap like this either, OP, but that is an incredible story. I'm very sad that the bitch didn't fry, though. That is so fucked up. And could you imagine how much of a punishment she would have actually had to have dealt with, like gone through with, not just a little bit of rehab? If the dude died, that would have been manslaughter or something. Had to have been. She would have been fucking behind bars for sure. Our next story comes from La Phoenix Fries. My mom asked entitled mother to let go of my hair. Refused. And got her life ruined. When I was a kid, I never cut my hair. No matter what, I never cut my hair. So I had very long, pretty, dirty blonde hair. And as a kid, a lot of people would ask to touch it. And I was fine with it, as long as they had permission. So when I was 6, my mom took me to the grocery store to buy something for dinner that night. We got to the store, and my mom got the stuff that she needed, but was missing the bread from the other side of the store. She sent me to go get it since I was fast and small. When I got to the bread, I picked out the brand that we usually buy, and at the time, I really liked baguettes and other types of breads. So when I saw the baguettes, I totally forgot that my mom was waiting for me and grabbed a loaf and headed back to my mom. So when I was headed back to my mom from the bread aisle, I felt someone pull my hair, and not gently, no, they yanked. They pulled my hair so hard I thought my hair was going to come out. And I cried so hard that my mom heard me across the store. It turns out it was a kid about my age who wanted to touch my hair. So his mom, and I'd say his 40-year-old mother, pulled my hair so her freaking kid could touch it. My mom rushes over and told the lady to let go of me. This is basically how the conversation went. Let my daughter go. My child just wanted to touch her hair. She has very pretty hair. She pulled on my hair. It hurts. You could have just asked. You can't just pull kids' hair. I can call the police for assault. You are harassing me. All I did was let my son touch her hair. I can call the police on you for harassing me and my child. Firstly, I'm not harassing you. You assaulted my child. And secondly, you can call the police. You will only make things worse for yourself. As it turns out, the entitled mom called the police and they took both of our statements. The entitled mother had given an over-exaggerated and dramatic report, telling the police, as we would later find out, that I had given consent to her kid to touch my hair, and my mom had come out of nowhere and started harassing the entitled mother. My mother gave the police the actual report from her side. I'd been asked to give a report, but I was too scared and tired from the experience to say much. They checked the security footage and saw what actually happened. I don't remember the next part, so bear with me. My mom decided to press charges and sued the entitled mom for assault. And she was sent to jail for 6 months and fined for providing a false police report as a cherry on top. Don't fuck with a person's kid. Like, that mom was a lot more polite than I would have probably been. Like, fist would have probably been flying. Like, my daughter has the beautifulest red, amazing hair, and I've had people like offer to buy her, and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? So if someone just like grabs her hair just to play with and touch, more than likely they're getting a fucking fist to the teeth. Our third story comes from Snarfleberry. I've upgraded to first class. Background: Alpine captain, commuting to work, purchased a full fare first class ticket to get there, lived in Atlanta at the time, domicile in Houston, and commuted. Normally, you could just jump seat into the cockpit, but on this auspicious day, that was already taken. Pass riding wasn't an option because there was no seat in coach and only one in first. Pass riders can be bumped for fare-paying passengers, and I needed to get to work, so I plunked down my credit card and bought the last seat in first. Boarding has occurred, and I am peacefully in my seat, waiting for pushback. Cast of characters: me, entitled woman, flight attendant, captain of the flight I'm on. You are sitting in my seat. You will need to move right now. Nope, this is my seat. Not gonna happen. Sorry. You're an employee. You're sitting in my seat. Move now. May I see your boarding pass? Clearly, there's been some mistake. You may not see my boarding pass. I showed that when I boarded. I've upgraded to first class. Now, move. You will need to resolve that with the flight crew. I'm a passenger. Entitled woman stomps off, resembling an irritated Dolores Umbridge, and returns with the flight attendant. Good morning, Captain. May I see your boarding pass? Sure thing. Mom, that's his seat. He paid for it. Well, then throw him off, dear. I've upgraded to first class, and now that's my seat. I'll need to see your boarding pass, Mom. You will not. I showed it when I boarded. I've upgraded to first class. How did you upgrade to first class? I upgraded to first class. I'm more important than an employee. Now get him out of my seat. Someone has called the cockpit, and the captain has left the flight deck to deal with this. Mom, I'm Captain Wallaby, not his real name. I've just spoken to the gate agent. We certainly apologize for this awkward situation. The gate agent has corrected your paperwork and has a voucher for your future travel for you as well. Please go fetch your new boarding pass and your voucher, and we'll be on our way. Entitled woman departs at the jetway, a triumphant smile on her face. The captain turns to the flight attendant and says, "Prepare the doors for departure." The doors close. The captain returns to the cockpit, and as we push from the gate, I can see the entitled woman pounding on the glass next to the jetway. It was a nice ride to Houston. The coffee was wonderful. That is a very non-confrontational way of dealing with a very shitty customer and passenger. Well done to you, Captain, sir. Well done. And I can only imagine that this tonic takes place in Australia because of Captain Wallaby there. I'm amazed that in this entire story, there's not the word cunt in it. Our last story comes from Dad Who Stood His Ground. Entitled sister-in-law stole our baby name. Now she regrets it. Hey y'all, long time lurker here and all that. This is a throwaway account. To cut to the chase, my wife and I spent 4 years trying to get pregnant before the wrong side of 35. We are currently 33 respectively now, and are blessed with our wonderful infant son. My wife has a younger half-sister that she has been in low contact with for some time. This woman is entitled and toxic, and also her mother's golden child. We've refused to let her or my mother-in-law in the house since they both blatantly tried to make off with my wife's jewelry box a couple years ago. The box contained a lot of valuable jewelry inherited from my wife's grandmother. Said jewelry box is now in a safety deposit box, as per my suggestion. My wife and I nearly given up trying to conceive when it suddenly happened. And we were ecstatic. After we found out we were having a boy, we started looking into names. I ended up suggesting the name of my Scottish grandfather, and my wife loved it. So that's the name we settled on. But we made the mistake of posting it on social media. Well, no surprise to the stereotype in this mess, my sister-in-law was pregnant too, and was months further along than my wife, and also having a boy. She decided to claim my grandfather's name for her own son, and not just the first name, but the middle name too. We called her pissed over what she was doing, and she smugly told us there was nothing that we could do about it, which she was sort of right. There was nothing that we could do about it legally, and it's still not a crime to steal someone's planned baby names. We realized that drama was exactly what my sister-in-law wanted, and she thought by taking the name for herself, we'd not be able to use it. I laughed and told her while what she did was dirty and underhanded, we would keep our chosen name, and she would have to deal with it, whether she decided to go through with copying us or not. Well, my sister-in-law's baby daddy called me and said I was an unreasonable dick for still wanting to use the name after my sister-in-law claimed it. I said she claimed nothing, and since we couldn't own the name, then neither could they. Before he ended the call, he threatened me by saying I'd be sorry if I didn't change the name. Then he hung up before I could respond. Months later, sister-in-law has a healthy baby boy and names him my grandfather's name. We did not show up for the birth, both because of the pandemic and because we simply don't care to be there. Sister-in-law called us wanting congratulations, but we told her simply we don't care, and that if she was still insisting we change our baby's name, then she'd be in some big disappointment because we were not. Sister-in-law demanded I put wife on the phone, but it was already on speaker and my wife spoke up and said she agrees with me entirely. We weren't changing the name. Sister-in-law hung up on us, but soon started sending emails with text walls of names, even suggesting similar ones. I responded back that the name was from my grandfather and that's why we're not changing it. She shut up and we didn't hear from her until after our son was born. 2 months later, we were blessed with our son. He came out perfect and we named him just as we intended. Well, no surprise, my sister-in-law called us a few days later after the birth to scream in our ears that we copied her son's name. I pointed out that she was the real copycat since she had no family ties to the name, and we did. And anyone who looks at our family tree could see that. Then my wife spoke and said that after the attempted theft of her grandmother's jewelry, she no longer considers sister-in-law her sister and would have nothing to do with her nephew either. For months, we were bombarded with the messages and emails from my wife's side of the family. Half were on our side after finding out the whole story, the other half were not. And sister-in-law's baby daddy, true to his word, showed up to my door to make me sorry. I'm not sure what his plan was, but I pretty much tower over him. I'm 6'1" and well built from regular exercise and 3 trips to the gym each week. He, on the other hand, was very skinny and about 5'6" with a baby face that was hidden badly behind a slim beard. I told him my house has cameras and to get off my property and to never come back. He just yelled a few obscenities at me and drove off in his beat-up old car. Sister-in-law and mother-in-law called us from a different number to yell at me for making sister-in-law's baby daddy feel emasculated. I didn't even threaten the man. I just told him to leave and not come back. And if he didn't want to feel emasculated, then he shouldn't have come knocking. Then they tried to bring up the issue of the baby name again and demanded we change our son's name as he's so young, so there's still plenty of time to do it. We held our ground and told them that they were bonkers to still think they were in the right after they copied our choice of names just to try and get one over on us. I said sister-in-law didn't even name her son out of love, but out of spite just to try to stick it to my wife for no good reason. Then my wife called them both out on the way that she was treated growing up, how entitled sister-in-law and mother-in-law had always been, and how she was glad to leave them far behind. And she wants nothing from them, and they won't have anything from us. That left sister-in-law sobbing, and mother-in-law calling me a royal bastard before hanging up the phone. That was no contact again for a little while, till sister-in-law called us again sometime later to bitterly tell us we'd won. She and her baby daddy got into a huge fight, and he left. He was apparently very sore that sister-in-law didn't let him even give their son a middle name from his family. And he was so sick of the bullshit and wanted his son's name after him and not some guy he wasn't even related to. Sister-in-law finally caved, and they got the boy's birth certificate reissued with a completely new name, which cost sister-in-law around $500, or so she claims. Sister-in-law then demanded we at least compensate her for the name change plus another $100 for the emotional damages, as now she's going to have to get used to calling her son by a different name. We laughed and said this would have never happened if she hadn't stolen our baby name to begin with, and we didn't owe her anything. Since then, we've been no contact with sister-in-law or mother-in-law, but my father-in-law, who's a very nice man and divorced from mother-in-law for obvious reasons, would come by often and loves his grandson. From what he and the other relatives have told us, the situation between sister-in-law and her baby daddy was pretty tumultuous, but we don't care. Not our monkeys, not our circus. That is the best attitude to have, is to just completely distance yourself from that much toxicity and just allow them to run their own train into a wall. I want to know the reason of why sister-in-law acted like that to begin with, because it sounds like she's always done it through her entire life. It's almost like that, I look up to you, therefore I want to be exactly like you, and I'm going to steal everything that I can that belongs to you so I can be like you as much as I can, and it is the dumbest freaking thing. That was r/EntitledPeople. Hit the subscribe button and the bell to see more videos. Let everyone.